So welcome everyone to the
Welcome.
C-Suite Unfiltered with our host here that's sick.
I'm not sick. I'm good. Just a little extra bassy.
Comment below if you think Lee is sick.
Just a little extra bassy.
A little extra bass. It's definitely the microphone.
Yeah. So, right on, man. Well, how this is gonna come out a little. This is probably gonna come out after New Year's. But how was your Christmas? How's your
good.
New Year's?
It was good, dude. Really focused on conference, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a family thing on what was it, day before Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Went up to Canada at my sister's house. Lose the power.
Oh no.
It's great, and it was like negative whatever it was outside. It was great. It was fantastic. Great holiday. But I was really focused on conference stuff because I was supposed to have my slides showing by the 22nd, and I was already late, so I was like gunning for it. So I finished them all on the weekend.
Well, notice you had mentioned to me, you were like, I don't have my slides done. I was like, yeah, but the company that told you to get them done, like, you're paying them. So can you just tell them, hey?
We can, yes, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
But I want to be respectful because I know it's like to be the media team and want to have some plans together.
Cool. Well, exciting development for you is we're literally like this close to the goal line on your headquarter building.
Yeah, we said that a year ago.
Yeah, I know. So for those that don't know, the headquarters is your plan, Augusta's plan to basically bring everything in-house. You'll have a media studio, you'll have the command center, and then you'll have your local original location that you built here in Bellingham, Washington. So you're basically on the goal line, which is what we said a year ago, waiting on one permit around the well. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically within 100. If you're within 100 feet of the property line, you have to get a notarized letter from the neighbor saying that you're allowed to do it. The problem is it's a warehouse, the old warehouse, and the owner, we don't know where he's at. We have no contact information. There's no one on the site. So we're just trying to figure out how we can get this guy to come into an office with me and do a notary to get my well done. It's pretty stupid.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
How many permits total to get this headquarters done?
I have no idea.
Just off the top of your head.
Dude, man, I don't know. There's just so much. Everything, like just everything you can think of, like stormwater. Then there's like sprinklers. Then there's well. Then there's retention pond. Then there's everything you can possibly think of.
Yeah.
It's stupid. Septic, sewer, it just goes down the list.
Yeah, I specifically remember we were subcontracted. I think this was like my second year working in the field at Augusta. We were subcontracted by a general contractor doing a new build, and they had the new build had to have a mitigation plan,
right?
A runoff mitigation plan. And he was like, yeah, basically I need to check these boxes, and then when you guys are done, I'm going to rip it all out.
Yeah.
And I was like, this feels wrong to do, but like, I'm not the one lying to the government.
Ours wasn't planting. Ours isn't planting. Ours is
Right.
like you actually have to build a retention pond. You have to build stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's no fire hydrant out front, so you have to have a massive tank of water. So then you have to have structural engineers to do the foundation for this water tank because it's going to weigh tens of thousands of pounds. Yeah. So it's just stupid.
Yeah. And then another not so exciting news.
What's not exciting is the fact that when we move in, we're basically at full capacity.
Yeah.
I am not looking forward to that.
Yeah, because it's a whole extra year.
Well, it's a whole extra year, and now another year. We were expecting to move in right now. Right. So I was like, okay, we'll have a year and a half, and then we can think about a second building in the back because there's 5 acres, there's plenty of room.
Yeah.
And all that good jazz. Well, we're gonna move in, and it's going to be tight.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, and before that, we just found out that our landlord for the command center is not renewing your lease.
That's what stinks. Yeah. So good God, I know where you're going now. Okay, great. So yeah, we got a 1 year lease at what is supposed to be a retail. It's like where Bass. Retail store used to be. Yeah. And so we're taking that. It's 4,900 square feet. We're going to pack in 35, 40 people in there. It'll be great. And so that's going to be a 1 year lease. We got a really good deal on it. It's not the most ideal because it has 1 bathroom, but there are public bathrooms, several suites over.
One single use bathroom.
Yeah, dude, I know.
One, you lock the door.
Yes. Okay. But we had a vote. So we put the vote for command center. It was so the downsides was the break room's not as nice. It doesn't have any natural light. However, we're going to have a sitting room out front where there's plenty of natural light, but it's separated. So break room not as great. No sink in the break room. Kind of dumb. Only 1 bathroom. However, here's the positives. Number 1, almost half the price compared to other office buildings that we could get for 1 year. Very hard to get leases for 1 year.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's right next door to Subway, Woods Coffee, Bob's Burger, and then a deli at the market. Yeah. And then the pizza store. So people really like that. And the bus hub for Blaine stops there.
Yeah. And it's right off the freeway.
It's right off.
You exit and you're in the parking lot in 30 seconds.
So for someone coming from what's called Bellingham, it's almost the same as going to Ferndale because we're 5-10 minutes off the freeway. We're now on the freeway.
Right.
So those are the pros.
It's closer for me.
What's that?
Selfish Pro. It's closer for me.
You just take Lindenberg Bay Road all the way?
It literally is from where the new command center will be from my house, 20-minute drive.
Oh, yeah.
But the current command center, 35-minute drive.
Right. And so I'm assuming that the new, like the headquarter building is going to be 30 minutes then.
Yeah, 30, 35.
Got it.
Small potatoes. So, yeah, that's wild. Your landlord just basically kicked you guys out, not renewing the lease.
Well, like we just assumed that he was going to let us renew.
Yeah.
Because like we have half the building. We control like half the building. And then our accountant literally moved into the building just to be next to us.
Yeah.
And sign a full next year. So they might actually let them out. We'll see.
That'd be good.
But yeah, it was just unexpected. Like, oh yeah, like next month we're not going to renew your lease. Like, oh, sick.
Yeah.
And so we have conference, all the other stuff, and then we have training. We're right now we're hiring a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
Starting for end of January. So we have 20 new people coming on board into the office. So we got to move before then. So like we have this like 1 to 2 week window after conference. So I knew like right as soon as I heard that last week, I was like we have to find a place within the next 3 days.
Yeah.
So it's just like all out finding places. It was great.
That's fun.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Despite the snowstorm and Christmas. Yeah. It was great.
Making it happen. Very cool. And then hopefully building gets signed off, and then this time next year we're moving in.
Yeah, dude. That's a goal. We have to.
Yeah.
So I basically told Credo like, hey, I'm gonna push it off another year, but we have to be in.
Our construction company.
Yeah.
Credo, yeah.
Because we're gonna get in trouble somewhere.
Yeah.
If we don't.
Right on. Well, switching gears.
Yeah.
So next year, 2023. 2023, nice little rhyme here. So what they're saying is the year of the EV, the electronic vehicle.
You think so? I think that was like 2021.
No, dude. 2023, really? The year of the EV. Yes. Yes,
really?
sir.
Everyone was psyched out about EVs in 2023 or 2021.
No. Yahoo News, all right?
Okay.
Yahoo News. Why 2023 could be the year of the cheap or cheaper EV. Uh-huh. Okay.
I agree with that because there's going to be deflation.
Yeah. So you're going to get some deflation, but the EV market share has nearly doubled in the U.S. in 2022 compared to 2021. So around 5.3% of all vehicles sold this year compared to 2.9% of all vehicles sold in 2001. So that's really interesting. But they said that the average 59% of consumers say that price is the main drawback to buying an EV.
Yeah, which will change.
Exactly. So there's a Yahoo News article that I was reading, and it was really interesting, was basically the Chevy Bolt base model. Chevy is trying to come in as the budget in the EV market.
I thought they cut that program.
No, so it's their big rollout in 2023. So the Chevy Bolt, there's 2 different models. The base model is only going to come out at $25,600. It's going to have a range of 259 miles per charge. Which is honestly pretty good when you look at...
Dude, they had so many problems with that car.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. No other electric car manufacturer besides Tesla is making a car at a profit that's electric.
Yeah.
That's the killer. And so this is the only reason why that theory could fall apart. I agree that the market share is going to go up simply because they're making more of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, everyone's like, oh, we're going to take this model and we're just going to make it EV, right? Everyone's doing it. It's the popular thing to do, and Wall Street likes it. However, I'm wondering if that falls apart during a recession when they have a vehicle like an F-150
right.
they make a really good margin on versus a Lightning vehicle where they're losing money on it.
Yeah.
And the question is, which one do we build with limited resources and a limited consumer demand? I have a feeling they're going to go for the one that's profitable. But, eventually, technology catches up. But I feel like a lot of these people got guilted into making EVs way too soon, and that's why they're losing money on them.
Yeah, yeah. I think the obvious choice, too, from an outsider is, of course, they're going to make the F-150 because what their tagline is like, it's America's #1 truck since whenever, or it's the most sold truck in America. So, yeah, I definitely could see that, like, production would slow down during a recession, but Chevy's the article is basically saying there are new players that are going to try to make the cheaper model, whereas if you looked a couple of years ago, and this is more like just like a general statement, they're not really making this fact-based, so they're like, if you look at the last few years, the EV price tag was $50,000 plus. Right. Like, if you wanted to get a nice EV, you're looking at $50,000 plus, and now, like, the new market is sub 30. Right. That's what Chevy's trying to go for.
Yeah, because like Tesla was, when the Model 3 came out, it was like 39, right? Plus tax incentives, you were on 35.
Yeah.
But with inflation and like the cost of all their materials going through, now it's 50 plus.
Yeah.
But now you look at the demand for Teslas has shrunk massively as we've gone into this recession, And so you can get a Tesla within a couple weeks now. It used to be months and months, if not years.
Yeah.
And so that's going to shrink too. Like their price will come back down to 40, 41, 42, somewhere in there, I think, for the Model 3. But supposedly, Elon hinted at there's another model coming out that's cheaper. And so that would really push that theory.
Interesting.
Have you ever been inside a Tesla?
I have, yes.
Really?
Paul Bolanov's Tesla.
Is it really?
Yes.
I was in his too. I've been in other ones too, though.
Local celebrity.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think their interior is that great.
Yeah, it was all right.
The ride quality and like the road sound, not great.
Yeah. I love the complete lack of leg. Like you just step on the pedal and it goes. That's so cool.
Yeah. But when you like compare it against other luxury vehicles in terms of its price, it's like, do you want a Lexus that is like leather and like super nice finishes and like detailed, or do you want like you get inside of a Tesla and if you didn't know, you literally feel like you're in the Walmart of interiors.
Yeah.
It's trash.
Yeah.
So people aren't going to pay $100,000 for a vehicle and feel like they're sitting on cardboard.
Yeah, it's fair.
So
I mean, I have a buddy that has like a BMW M3.
Yeah.
Around the same price tag as a Tesla, and I would choose that every day.
Yeah, no, totally.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice.
It'll catch up.
Yeah.
Eventually, like in 20, 30 years, it'll be like, what were those internal combustion engines? What are they doing?
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I'm not. So I have decided I have an 02 Dodge Ram. It's 20 years old.
Right.
And I'm never going to sell it.
Right.
I want to be like that guy that like if I'm like 60, pull it out of the garage, everyone's driving EVs, and I'm just like 10 miles to the gallon, baby.
Well, this is the thing. What we also realized in 2022, though, is that renewable resources are great until you run out of them.
Right.
And so I feel like people suddenly realize, like, oh, there's actually a cap to things like battery storage and trying to get these renewable resources of wind and sun to actually be stored a long enough period of time to keep us over the winter.
Yeah.
And so what we saw in Europe and then the dependence on fuel, like there's two ways you can look at it. One, the dependence on Russia for oil and even, UAE, it's going to push us towards electric.
Yep.
Or two, it is, it's proven that we are not ready for electric because literally the governor of California is telling you not to plug in your car.
Right.
So I think it's still a ways off, like in terms of like full, like we can't, the grid can't take it. If you take the percentage of vehicles in the world and then you look at the number of EVs and then you try to scale the amount of infrastructure required just to support the charging networks, we can't support it. And it would take decades to build the infrastructure. Like think about every single gas station having to be a charging network for electric. And the fact that every single gas station, you can fuel up in 4 minutes, 5 minutes.
Right.
Well, now it's going to be 40 minutes. So you theoretically need like 10x the number of charging stations. So that gets very, very expensive and the infrastructure is just not there.
Yeah.
And so that's why, let's tie this full circle. This is sort of my theory when it comes to Augusta is like building the infrastructure that every service-based business has to run on. This is coming out after conference, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like that's the goal, like building the infrastructure for every service-based business to run on because no one else will be able to build the whole infrastructure. Same way Tesla is going to open up their charging networks to all electric vehicles. And everyone's like, why would you do that? It's like allowing competition. It's like, no. Every single time they're pulling up to a Tesla charging station.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's my theory with Augusta. So we can do the same thing.
Gotcha. Interesting. You had mentioned, I'm going to go back to the article a little bit. I do like that you took it. No, I love that you took a full circle. We could put a bow on it right there and leave it. You had mentioned earlier, though, that there are those incentives for getting EVs. So
the 7,500 one recently.
Yep. So this is still there. So this is directly from the article from Yahoo News. Consumers can get a cheaper EV thanks to some tweaks by lawmakers in the U.S. While the Inflation Reduction Act, consumers' tax credit for EVs is currently in effect for cars assembled in North America. Yeah. Some coming changes will benefit two big automakers, Tesla and GM. Yep. Tesla and GM are currently phased out of the tax credit based on older rules, but starting January 1st, 2023, these two automakers will be allowed to participate again in the program, with buyers getting $7,500 off qualified EVs.
So check this out. So I feel like this is an opportunity to buy Tesla stock, and I have for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh, are you getting into this?
I got notes.
Oh, okay. So yeah, what happens, everyone was like, hey, if the January 1st can come up, I can save $7,500.
Yep.
which is a flawed concept, by the way, in terms of how your tax credits going to work. However, everyone's waiting for that. So that Tesla recently, it's like, oh, sick. They aren't getting any orders. I can guarantee you, like the fourth quarter is going to come, and it's gonna, like the stock is going to continue to crash. Because the quarter report's going to come in for horrible delivery numbers and order numbers based upon the fact that everyone's like, oh, we'll just wait. And that's why they did the $7,500 discount. They're like, oh, snap, we're not making any purchase. No one's buying anything because they're waiting for this tax credit. So they just like, we'll just take the $7,500 hit now. Yeah. And so, in my opinion, great buying opportunity. Yep. Just saying. Because the same way, like when you pull forward demand, if you put a discount off, you push demand off. Yeah. So, in my opinion, you're just riding the wave of this emotion in the stock market.
Not financial advice.
Not financial advice. But I want to get my 7A just so I can say I'm a financial advisor.
Here you go. CNBC. This is the title of the article I was going to bring up. Tesla stock is headed for its worst month, quarter, and year on record.
Yeah, dude, let's pull it up. Let's see if we can't buy some more.
So this live stock picks.
Dude, it's down 11% today.
Yeah, down 11. This article's from today. It was updated an hour ago.
Oh, dude.
So Tesla shares dropped 11% in the market on Tuesday, which is December 27th. So that's today we're recording. Investors are bailing on the stock as challenges mount for Tesla abroad and at home. Elon Musk continues to spend an outsized amount of time on Twitter. Multiple outlets reported fresh challenges for Tesla's production in mainland China as the automaker struggles to attract buyers in China and North America.
Dude, down 13% and after.
So here's a little fun.
But dude, the price to earnings ratio is 38 on a company that's literally doubling on an annual basis.
So here's a little snapshot for you.
I'm buying more right here.
How much?
You want me to tell you how much I bought? 8,000.
Let's go.
I haven't done it for I started buying it 2 weeks ago, just like trickling in.
Yeah.
My basis isn't great because it's been going down ever since I bought it.
But. So we got so Tesla, basically December 2022, where we are right now. It's going to be the end of their worst month ever, the end of their worst quarter ever.
Love it.
And the end of their worst year ever since being a publicly traded company.
It's fantastic.
They're down 44% in this year. Yep. So they
were too high.
Yeah.
I sold everything because it was just so bad.
Yeah. So stock price at the beginning of this year, its high was 194 and then its low is as of right now, 106.
Yeah. The price to earnings ratio is 38. The average of the S&P is somewhere around 15 to 16 right now. But the average growth rate of a company in the S&P 500 is like 5 to 6% a year, whereas they are like between 50 and 80% annualized. Yep. So I just believe that they're going to be the only EV manufacturer that will get through the recession and still be creating profitable EV cars. And if that happens, so as adoption of EV cars go up, this is the bull case, right? Because obviously I'm a fan. Yeah. So if EV adoption goes up, infrastructure is getting better at the same time that none of the manufacturers can produce them effectively and efficiently and profitably, at the same time that they're going to be struggling financially, they will flip back. They will go back to the other cars. Yeah. Because they can't afford to do what they did before and go bankrupt. Yeah. And so I just believe that if I think the recession is going to be horrible for Tesla, the demand's going to crash, the stock will crash. But if we reemerge from that with better infrastructure, better adoption, better technology, and they're the only ones that can create a car that's effective and efficient and profitable, let's go. Yeah. Rivian has some good cars, but they can't make them profitably. So do they make it through a recession? I don't know. Because you need money, you need capital, and if capital is costing you 5 times more than it did a year ago, and you don't have any consumer demand, and you like everything is more expensive, like I just don't see them being able to survive.
Yeah, I was pulling up Rivian stock. Might as well.
Rivian's way down, dude. Yeah. That's just today.
Check out today.
Check out the 1 year. 82% down.
Holy buckets. Yeah, 82% down. Yeah, for last year. Yeah, jeez.
It was hyped up way too much. Yeah. But see, 16 billion market cap for what they're producing right now, not bad. When it was 100 billion, it's like, seriously, guys, come on, So I'm not buying Rivian stock, by the way, because I just don't. I like the product, but the financials still don't make any sense. Like if it went down to 3 billion, I'd be like, okay, I'll take a risk on it. But it's still too expensive. Yeah, it doesn't produce any profit. You can't actually look at a PE ratio. There's zero. It's negative. It's losing money.
There's nothing.
Any company that's losing money in 2020, I would love to have a stat on this. Any company that's losing money in 2022, what the average stock loss was, I bet it's like 80%. Yeah. Like an average, maybe 65 or 70 if you're conservative, because even money companies were losing 50%. But, dude, they got slaughtered. And they're going to get wiped out, dude. Not Rivian necessarily because they have a lot of capital. They have plenty of cash. But, yeah, dude, it's interesting.
Yeah. I was going to look at Tesla's 5-year. So when did they go public?
I think it was like 2015.
Well, I guess
16?
it'd be right here.
Was it 16, 17?
Beginning of the chart. 18.
18, right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning of 18. Yeah,
dude.
That's an insane 5-year chart.
Yeah.
Like, finally started to climb.
So, okay, we're looking at a stock chart.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
So, it got way too high in my opinion. And when I started seeing numbers like it was $1 million net of market cap for every one car produced, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And things like that. But then now it's like, okay, 2 years ago, were they a stronger company financially than they are today? No. They've doubled their production. They have more gigafactories open. Mm-hmm. They have the semi-truck just got released. Mm-hmm. They got the Tesla, the Cybertruck probably coming out in the next 9 months. Is it a better company today than it was 2 years ago? Yes. So the stock is what, a third? It's almost 25% of what it was
at its peak
a year and a half, 2 years ago. And is the company better today? Yes. Financially, it is. It has a PE ratio of 38 when just 2 years ago it was like 600.
Yeah.
So I think it's a buy, bro. I'm just saying, not financial advice.
No, not financial advice. I've been watching it too. I actually I've never owned any Tesla stock.
So this is the thing.
It's too much of a roller coaster for me.
Yeah, it is.
But now I like where it's at, and I've been watching it long enough, like that I think I'm going into.
Yeah, but I'm very cautious because I think demand's going to completely collapse. I think it's still going to keep going down.
Yeah,
guarantee it. Because you go into a recession, people are not buying $50,000, $60,000 cars. You're betting also on full self-driving being the thing of the future. And again, if they can remain profitable and investing in FSD when every other company is going to cut their FSD program during a recession, they will emerge as like massive market share.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah. Telematics. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know. The EV. That's what people are saying, though. 2023 is the year we see an emergence of EV. And then the article kind of wraps up with saying by the end of 2025, probably 10 to 15% of all cars sold will be EV.
Yeah.
So within 3 years, two and a half.
You know what I'd be interested in, dude? Making a company that has all the technology of an EV, of a Tesla, without it being an EV. Like, why not have full self-driving and like where they can do software updates to the vehicle? Like, the coolest thing about being a Tesla owner is like you get an update to your vehicle and like randomly something cool happens. Like randomly it can do something. Randomly, because it's like a program.
Right.
It's a big piece of software. And so, in my opinion, the best businesses are software driven because there's no unit cost of production. Like, can you imagine just being like, oh yeah, you want 4-wheel drive in your vehicle? Great, we're gonna download it today, right? And that's possible. Like if you have certain things in the vehicle already and the cameras and the sensors already. So like they for example, they made a mistake on they put what's it called? The
buttons?
Yeah, a button, but it's a horn. They put the horn as a button.
Yep.
And people were like, this is not safe because you instinctively, in an emergency, go to the middle. They're like, okay, great. Next update, they put it in the middle. They put a sensor in the middle, and they just made the middle now the button where you have a horn. Yeah. Like, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Why not just flip it, make it easier to build by having a ICE combustion vehicle, right? And just have all that technology.
Yeah,
I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I like that. I
think the whole Europe thing with their energy crisis and what we saw even in California needs some people seriously to put the brakes on this whole idea that we're like, in the next couple of years we're going to electric. It's not possible. You cannot. The infrastructure cannot handle it. Our energy grid cannot, and the fueling stations can't.
Yeah, but it's a buy. Just to wrap it all up,
it's a buy.
I just want to.
I'm most interested in the technology, though, of like full self-driving. If they can hit that and they can beat that and be what some have said they're 5 years ahead on, if that's true, they will kill everyone else on EV.
Yeah.
Because, But what I've seen so far, it's not. I don't think it's 5 years ahead.
Yeah.
I think it's like a couple, but it's not 5. So it's interesting. It's still very much of a gamble, but now at 38 PE, we can take it.
Yeah. Yeah, because full self-driving, in order to build full self-driving, what do you need to essentially put into the software in order to create full self-driving? Data. And that's really what, like, I've heard Elon say in certain interviews. He's like, well, we're also a data collection company.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And a lot of people think like, oh, it's just a car company. No, it's data collection. They're mapping every road. They're measuring distances with those sensors in the mirrors and the windshield and the bumpers. Like they're measuring everything and downloading data.
And on FSD, you tap a button and you have then the revision team can actually look at what happened. Okay, why did we miss that pylon? And they're going right to code. Okay, so we got to look for this on the road. Like just when you have millions of cars that are doing that every single day, you have a massive head start against someone like Rivian that's producing a couple thousand a month. Like you just have such a massive starting advantage.
Yeah. So even Apple Maps too. I don't know if you've used it recently. If you get in like anytime I go through like Seattle, like a major city, the map becomes automatically 3D.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's super cool. I really like that. It threw me off. I was like, am I in the right place? But like it actually was tracking me as I was going like under like an underpass.
Right.
It looks so weird. So I don't know. Kind of cool.
Under an overpass.
It is what it is.
But that technology was going to kind of come down eventually to mowers, and that's kind of why I'm interested.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. It'll be exciting. Do you think like, what's the timeline you think for autonomous mowers?
We're 10 years behind the automotive space. Like if they can't figure out Tesla, we're not going to figure it out with a mower. All right. So again, I'm going to talk about this at a conference, but like we're a good 10, 15 years away from it really being economically feasible the same way that the Model 3 is economically feasible and also makes sense financially. Yeah.
Changing gears completely from EV. I know we could talk about that for a long time and you're much more well-versed than I am, but I love hearing your thoughts on it. To build something like Tesla, to build something like EV, you need to have creativity, right?
Oh, brother.
And so I recently listened to a podcast, and I sent it to you. I know you listen to portions of it, by Simon Sinek. It's his podcast called A Bit of Optimism. And Simon Sinek...
wait, that was his podcast?
That's his podcast.
Oh, I thought he was going on someone else's.
No, it's his podcast, but he had 2 guests on it.
Got it.
And it was more of a free form,
right?
Hey, come on my podcast, and we're just going to talk. There was no structure, which I thought was really cool. But anyway, Simon Sinek, for some of you who don't know, he wrote his kind of big moment coming to popularity was Start With Why. So he did the TED Talk about finding your why in your business to build a better culture. He also has a couple other books like Infinite Game, Leaders Eat Last. So big fan of his. But I sent you a podcast, and it was him and Brene Brown and Adam Grant both have like psychology degrees. They all kind of study, I guess, if you will, like humans and like human desire, and they all help businesses. They all work as business consultants. They've all worked with like the SEAL team, Spec Ops. So they all they know what they're talking about. But one of the things that they were talking about is like, where do ideas come from? And how do you become creative? Like, are people, naturally creative, or do they have to be in a creative space to be creative? And one of the things that Adam Grant said on the podcast was really interesting. You probably didn't get to this part yet, but he did an interview with Lin-Manuel Miranda. Do you know who that is? So he's the guy who wrote Hamilton. And like In the Heights, he's a big musician and composer, and just like phenomenal what he does. And he said, I would have never written Hamilton if I didn't have a daiquiri on a beach, because he like let himself get in a creative space.
That sounds like a good excuse to me.
I agree. I
need a private jet to be creative.
Yeah. But it's like giving yourself a space, because you can't just say like, okay, now I'm going to turn on creativity. Right? It's like, it's not like you and I getting here at a podcast and we're like, okay, now I turn on my creative part of my brain. So that way I'm like funnier, right? Okay. So I was just thinking like, do you think entrepreneurs are creatives? Like you as an entrepreneur, do you think you're naturally creative, or do you think that like an entrepreneur is just a type of person, and an entrepreneur could be creative and like build their own thing, or an entrepreneur could be someone who just follows someone else's systems, right? Like say a franchise model, or a business that just works and they tweak it a little bit and they make it their own. Do you think that entrepreneurs are geared towards creativity more than the average person, or no?
Thing is, like, you might not be creative with your business model, but you have to be creative with a lot of other things as a business owner, right? So like, whether it be like handling situations with customers or handling situations with employees, you got to have creative ways of like dealing with situations. And like, you can't just use like, this is the cookie cutter way to do it. But I think unfortunately we all have thought that in order to be an entrepreneur, you need to have creativity around the model. And I believe that's flawed, because that's what most people make their mistake on. Whereas like the vast majority of people can, if they're an entrepreneur, if they have entrepreneurial tendencies, they can figure out the creativity needed to navigate a tough conversation with an employee, or fire somebody or hire someone and have some EQ behind that team meetings and things like that. So I think the success rate is better when people have creativity and they channel it towards internal things inside the business, making a better marketing campaign, making your website better, really getting analytical about that sort of thing. But creativity is overrated, dude.
Yeah.
Massively overrated. Like, so I listened to the first part of that podcast, right? It hurts my head. I've been around too many consultant people like them, and like I guess I haven't got to part 2, so I gotta listen to part 2 now, I guess. But like, I don't like when there's no real world application. It's like, okay, like give me some examples, and how can I use this in my everyday life? But creativity is whatever. Like, I just don't think about it, dude.
Yeah.
I do not think about that stuff at all.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm an extremely like type A person, but there's a weird part of like my brain that gets tickled, if you will, like listening to people like that.
Right.
And I don't know why, because I'm so like, if I took, personality assessment test, a DISC test, I heard you and Corey Ballard talk about that, and I instantly went and took one because I'd never done one before. And it was like clearly like I'm the dominant, I'm the like fall A, B, C, D type, like follow the lines. They're there for a reason. Yeah. So, but like for some reason, like creatives, I'm always intrigued by creatives. And I really like, it's like even Lin-Manuel Miranda, I am not musically inclined at all, but I like love his most recent production he did with Disney, which is In the Heights, and it's like the storytelling of I'm blanking on where it is, but it's in New York. It's the Heights, but I can't remember. Washington Heights. Thank you, Sarah.
Our producer in the house.
Washington Heights.
What would we do? Because I wasn't coming up with that answer.
Oh, I know you weren't. And it's an all like Latino community in New York. Cool. And it's like this phenomenal like storytelling. And I'm not musically inclined. I'm not Latino, but the story just like resonated with me because I think there's a part of me that just like loves creativity. So I don't know if maybe I'm so right brain or so type A.
I agree.
That I like enjoy like seeing people create. Yes. I don't know.
But here's the thing. Creativity is subjective.
Agreed.
And numbers and data is not. It tells the facts the way they are. Yeah. And I think what's happening right now is like for so long we've been putting creativity on a pedestal because that is what has been rewarded at companies where like the people who were the most creative got the biggest paychecks because they came up with ideas. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, oh, we're going to fire all of them. Why? Because we actually need the numbers. Right. Because now we're in a recession and guess who gets cut? They could be with the big ideas and the creativity. It's like who actually drives the business forward and moves the numbers. That's job security. So creativity is great. Oh, hey, here we go. Creativity is subjective, but it is not job security. I had a better rhyme there coming up, but anyways. But job security is going to be in the person that can move the numbers of the business. And unfortunately, for most entrepreneurs, they're more creative than they are analytical. And when it comes to the numbers of their business. And they're so good at like marketing campaigns. Like, we're going to do this. And we're going to do like this new thing on my website. And I'm going to do this new business and this new service. And it's like, it doesn't matter. It's just a spreadsheet. Yeah. Like,
I'm gonna push back on you a little because I feel like you're more creative than you give yourself credit.
I understand that.
You're giving yourself like you say like I don't think about that stuff. Maybe you don't make the space to think about like your creative time. Right. Like you don't put it in your schedule, but you are extremely creative because in that discussion Simon and Brene and Adam have is they talk about it's a cheesy analogy, but I really like it. Oh, brother.
Here we go. Simon Sinek is the king of cheesy.
He is, and I love it every second of it. I eat it up. They talk about making pancakes. And when you make pancakes, I know you don't eat pancakes. You're a very healthy guy. When you make pancakes, the first one never comes out good, right? Because you're still like mixing the batter and you're getting the temperature right on the pan, right? So it doesn't come out good. And you don't serve the first pancake. You serve like the third or the fourth pancake, like if you're making pancakes for guests.
Yeah, until you need food and you can't afford to throw the first 3 away.
Exactly. but I think like for you that analogy, you throw out like the first pancake. Yeah. To use that analogy. Yeah. You're just like, hey, I have this idea. What do you guys think? And another one that Simon said, because he's spoken to business leaders, he's spoken to entrepreneurs, he's spoken to elite SEAL teams and all these different people. And he said, he hates that when in a business setting, someone presents an idea, they finish and they go, isn't this a great idea? And then he says, you take like the military side or like SEAL teams and closed door meetings and they say, here's my action plan. And he said, one of the SEALs I interviewed said, I always finished up presenting my plans with spears, So throw your spears now, because otherwise this plan we're just going to roll with, and then we'll get thrown spears at when we're in the field. And I feel like you follow that second school of thought. Like you throw out the first pancake, or you say like, hey, leadership team, here's an idea. Throw your spears at it. And like we go very unfiltered on your idea. So, but I think only creative people can do that. Yeah. I think if you aren't creative, you almost need a perfected product before you can roll it out to people you trust. Right. And I feel like you are creative because you're like, here's an idea. I'm going to just give it to you guys, sit with it, let me know what you think. And you just let us pick it apart to make something better.
Yeah. I don't know if that'd be creativity though. Is that more a form of leadership? Like I feel like to get real buy-in, that's going to work better.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit of both.
It's like with P for P. Like, hey guys, throw your spears in it. And then in the back of my head, I'm like, if they don't, I don't care what they throw at this. We're gonna push this through. Yeah. But I want them to think that they came up with this idea.
That's fair. But I guess it's hard to like use a lot of examples that we wouldn't be talking about specific people. Yeah. I feel like you're more creative than you give yourself credit.
I used to paint a lot, dude.
Did you paint this?
No, dude. This would not take a lot of skill. Creativity is very low. But no, I used to paint a lot. I used to do pottery. My mom always bugged me about like trying to tap back into that more. Yeah. But I really feel like I do that like on a daily basis, like just trying to figure out like the rhythm of, business and like politics now, like between trying to bring teams together that weren't working together before. Just trying to like figure little things out like that. I think it does take a level of creativity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it was funny when you were talking about like you could throw your spears, but I'm already deciding on this. I had a moment like that for you, going all the way back to the first thing we talked about, which is the command center moving, and you you let them vote.
Okay, so no, I did. I was indifferent on that.
No, I know. I knew that you were. Yeah. Without talking to you, I was like, no, he's letting them vote. But when I saw it, I was like, why are you letting? I didn't vote. So if anyone at Command Center listens to this, throw your spears at me. Yeah. I just didn't know why you brought it to a vote.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So I didn't really. No, it's fine. So I didn't know. Okay, so we should lay some groundwork. So there's two different options. The one that we went with was obviously the one we talked about already. There's another option in a 30-minute drive away from there, different spot, and there's pros and cons of both.
To where you were going to ask your 20-some staff members to move.
Correct.
In the next couple weeks.
We had to move. Yeah. Right? So it's like, hey, here's the two options.
Right.
So I, from a financial standpoint, did want Birch Bay Square.
Yeah, so did I.
However, I realized that the extra $3,000 or $4,000 we're going to spend a month by being in the other location, if I'm going to lose half my team, or like even from a morale standpoint, just everyone gets crushed, like 90% of people, it's going to lead to bad karma going forward. Secondly, there was some cons at the new location that were going to be pretty just it's dumb to have one bathroom. It's going to be annoying. They're going to have to walk down a few units over occasionally if they need to go to the bathroom. They're going to be waiting. Like, it's not going to be fun.
Right.
So it's like, I was at the point where it's like, look, I would rather take the more expensive one if it means retention of the team and the morale is higher, even if that means paying double. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I was like, I was completely whichever way. Yeah. Obviously, if I would have voted, I probably would have gone Birch Bay because I don't care about things like the bathroom and the break room. It doesn't affect me, but it affects them a lot. Yeah. So that one, not like that way. It was definitely like if 80% would have been like, we want to go to Bellingham, nicer spot. It costs more, but who cares? I would have gone along with it. Yeah. And I had both leases ready to go. So sign as soon as the next day. I'm like, all right, great, let's go. And so, and this is the thing. In part, yes, it is the fact that when everyone is hating it, it's like, you guys voted for it. That is somewhat, but let's just say that I would have made the decision based upon the pros and the cons without their input. The likelihood of them switching, because there's always pros and cons of every decision you make, especially when it comes to a team. But if you force them into it, they're going to focus on the negative. If they feel part of the decision and they're informed of the decision, and then regardless if if I would have told them, like given them an option for a poll, it's like, hey, here's the two options. This is why we're going to take the second one. That would have had some better retention and like better buy-in. But by allowing the poll, it's like, hey, you guys decided this. Mm-hmm. And so I would have gone with Bellingham though. I was very much like 50-50 in terms of like, if the team wants it, I will do it because it's not worth $3,000 to $4,000 a month. Yeah. The
illusion of control.
but like that one specifically, I told Liz, I said, if everyone wants Bellingham, we'll just do it. Yeah. It's worth we don't want to lose our team over it from a morale standpoint. Because it is going to be a pain in the butt. It is going to be a pain in the butt to have 40 plus people in an office and one bathroom.
Yeah.
But they all really like the fact that within walking distance, you have all these food options. Whereas right now, they have to drive 5 minutes to go get food. Right? So a lot of them like that. There's a bus stop. Like there's pros.
I completely agree.
So
I just figured I'd ask. I don't know. I respected that you gave your people a vote.
Well, it's like franchise advisory council.
Yeah.
Like if they really vote something, I will push it through. Right. So like I did not think we need to change anything with the solo operator model. This is coming out of conference now.
Yeah.
I did not think we needed to change anything about the solo operator model, but they did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, hey, here's the 3 options. 1 is basically like completely annihilate it. Number 2 is slight changes. 3 is leave it as is.
Mm-hmm.
I personally was a 3. I thought it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But enough of them wanted it to be changed where like, hey, we're going to do number 2.
Yeah.
So there's just like, you can't get wrapped up. Like there's certain things that I will just pursue. Like if I really would have been like, this is must happen for the future of Augusta, I'd just push it through.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Like I didn't consult anyone about, the acquisition of Copilot.
I get it though, because I remember, I say I get it. I don't run the same size companies you do. I don't run a single company.
No, but you do, because like you make calls on stuff without consulting even me.
Yeah.
Right. Or even like, the franchisees, like their territories and things like that. You don't ask me like, hey, which one is here? Like you just do it.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't need to consult with me. In the same way that, someone underneath you, like you don't need to always consult, but there's the balance, right? Like if you're going to change everything on the franchisees, or if you're going to like, we just had an issue with 2 franchisees close by each other. Yep. And it's like, okay, we have to bring everyone, we have to really get all on the same page versus times where this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And so there's just a fine balance, and I make mistakes all the time on this because there's so many decisions to be made, and you got to determine which ones are political and then which ones are, I need to make a dictatorship kind of call. Yeah.
Well, and we do our, what do we call them? Our leadership meetings, offsites for the whole team. But when you get the leadership team together, typically every other month, right? We usually meet 5-6 times a year at a nice dinner with just your kind of intimate leadership team. And I remember at one of the earlier ones, I just kind of haphazardly threw out the question to you. I was like, what is this going to look like in like 5-10 years? Like, what are these meetings going to look like? And you were like, about the same. And you're like, because when we're moving as fast as we want to move, like we have to make decisions quickly. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, you have to walk that line of what decisions do I dictatorially just say, this is happening, either stay on board or jump ship, or what decisions do I bring to my leadership team and bring to debate for them, because they all have different eyes within the company. They all see different things. And then what do I bring to the floor for everyone to see? So that's a tough line to walk.
And then there's some things that you should not get involved in, right? And that's like, I had to apologize to the leadership team like a month ago, because like I stepped into something I shouldn't have, when I was like, it really didn't need my input. Yeah. And so knowing when it's like dictator, then like none of my business, and then somewhere in between, which is like political. Yeah. Right. So like, it just you got to realize you're going to make a bunch of mistakes when you're making, let's say there's 10 of this type of decisions a day. Yeah. You've got to decide where to throw those in the bucket. And if you take too long thinking about which one should I do, like you can't. So for me, it's like, do I want to die on this hill? If I do, we're going full out dictator, baby. But if it's like something like, look, I need the buy-in of a team or the franchisees. It's like, okay, let's put this up for a vote. Here, let's do out the way the pros and the cons, and then I'll roll with the team. So,
do you prefer someone to like quietly observe feedback and then provide feedback to you, or do you prefer that they just jump right in front and just say what they feel?
Dude. It's so depending. Because some people annoy me if they give their feedback. Yeah. And a lot of times because they haven't built up the goodwill to be able to jump up and say, no, that doesn't work. Like if you or Liz are like, I'm like spitballing and you're like, no, that won't work. I'm like, okay, great. Tell me why. If someone else like had been around for 6 months and like not really proven themselves, or like they said stupid stuff before and about the team, and I didn't have like full confidence that they were bought in, I'd just be like, shut up. Yeah. Like get out of my life. Yeah. And so, I just think there's no right or wrong answer. I think, I'd say majority of the time, I'd rather someone think about it. Yeah. Because And I told this to the Franchise Advisory Council. I said, when I say stuff, I usually have a high conviction. And unfortunately, what that creates is people think that I'm trying to push something through, or they're like, this is going to happen. It's like, no, just because I'm that way, like, you can push back. And so sometimes I have to make it clear to the leadership team or like a franchise advisory, just because I have high conviction does not mean it's the right thing to do. So you're going to have to come back at me with like a blunt, like, tell me what that you think you're wrong. And if it's a good argument, I'll have a counter. So, but yeah, there's just balance. Yeah.
I think that's where I default to the latter. Like I think, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but whenever you roll something out, I usually observe. I like to see what other people have to say. And if I have an extremely strong conviction opposed, then I hop in, but I usually I observe. I kind of just let it happen. Unless my gut reaction is no way.
Yeah. I bet your opinion on our 2 manager meetings ago about the GMs for the local shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I was wrong. Oh man, what was it? There was another thing that we did and we talked about it and I was wrong about it. I forget. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, we disagree all the time.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool thing.
I would say you jump in more often.
Really?
Like, yeah. You would jump in more often. I could break down each of the team, kind of know where they're at. Like, I can read you pretty well during like a spitballing meeting and like if you're all in or not. And typically it's like you're very quiet, you do this a lot. And then at the end, you're like 2 things. All right. Okay. Yeah. So he disagrees with something. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so, and whereas like someone like Liz, she'll wait days sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Which I try to push her to like say something more in the moment because it saves me time.
Yeah.
So there's just balance. And there's other people who have a loud mouth and just like, dude, just why don't you think about what you're about to say before you talk about it?
Yeah.
Right. So
that's what I never want to be.
Yeah, but like you have the money in the bank, right? Like you have the
relationship capital,
and I know your intentions are for the company and for the team. If someone says stuff negative about the team, they lose all social capital with me, and like everything is out the window.
Yeah.
So if someone like has drama in the office, I don't care what they think.
Yeah.
I literally don't care. So, yeah, if in my opinion, if someone's watching there, like an employee, you need to be a little bit more deliberate and thinking about what you're going to say and have a plan in place. If you're more of a mid-level manager, that's when potentially the only way to get through to someone is like hit them right away, right? But most of the time, if you're trying to jump up chains of command and give your opinion on something, you need to have something planned out and don't come to, dude, I hate this. When people come to us with problems and no solutions.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. All credibility sinks to the floor.
Yeah, the worst.
Like, why do you talking to me? I hear problems all day long. Why would you not bring a solution with your problem? Because now you're just complaining.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Bring a solution and don't hand you a piece of paper. You don't like handouts.
Or a long email.
Yeah, a long email. If you're gonna
summarize this,
if
please.
you're gonna bring Mike a problem, number 1, bring him the solution, your proposed solution. Number 2, don't put it on physical paper. Don't make it a long email.
Yeah. Like today, I had to ask someone, so what's the question? After a very long deliberation, I'm like, so what's the question?